Perfect. Okay, never mind. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the second day of IFT Delhi's International Business Conclave Trade Winds, where we have been talking on the theme of India at 100. Now we're starting with our third summit of the day, the Marketing Summit. This summit is managed and organized by the Marketing and Research Club of IFT Delhi, which is Brandwagon. The sub-theme for the summit is Building Solutions That Solve for Bharat. We're looking forward to a fruitful discussion to help us understand the future of marketing as a business activity in India. Now I'd like Team Brandwagon to take over so that we can take forward the summit. Thank you.
Rising on the wings of creativity, IFT looks to explore new avenues in the ever-pulsating field of marketing. Brandwagon, the marketing and research club at IIFT, serves as the breeding ground for tomorrow's doyens in the field of sales and marketing. From bringing to you epic ad campaigns and exciting brand stories to curating informative content so that IIFT stays abreast of the trends, Brandwagon aims to encapsulate all things marketing and help you dive deeper into the fascinating domain. This year's theme for the National Marketing Summit is Building Solutions That Solve for Bharat. The world is certainly becoming smaller, thanks to technology. New prospects are presented by Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, which exhibit undiscovered consumers with extremely distinct demands, viewpoints, and preferences. More importantly, an ocean full of business potential, or maybe the new growth frontier in pursuit of India at 100. A new global order has formed, and a new Bharat is driving this transformation. This has completely altered how marketers previously viewed India. Building for Bharat, or the next 500 odd million internet users in India, is going to be the biggest and the most challenging opportunity over the next decade. We are privileged to have an esteemed panel of experts sitting with us and share their views on this new Bharat. I would now invite all speakers to come join us on the dais.
Thank you everyone for coming to the National Marketing Summit today. To introduce our esteemed panel today, it gives us great pleasure to introduce Mr. Satinder Juneja, Global Marketing Head at BirlaSoft, to a summit. An alumnus of IMT Ghaziabad and ISB, Satinder sir has over 26 years of extensive experience in the IT and telecom industry. His many specializations include B2B marketing dynamics, areas such as marketing and sales operations, funnel and pipeline, reputation management, and stakeholder communications. In his astounding career, Sir has worked across multiple leadership roles in Airtel, HCL, Aricent, Microsoft, Coforge, Kelton Tech Solutions, Larsen & Toubro, and currently BirlaSoft. We welcome you, sir, to the National Marketing Summit at TradeWinds. We would like to present you with a bouquet, and we are eager to learn from your experiences too.
We are delighted to invite Mr. Manish Verma to the National Marketing Summit here at TradeWinds. An alumni of MDI Gurgaon, Mr. Manish Verma has worked with largest private sector bank of India, ICICI Bank Limited, for close to 10 years in senior management position, handling a portfolio of $300 million. With a total of 22 years of work, he has also worked with India's largest corporate group, Reliance Group, and Fullerton India, in senior roles in retail and rural finance, respectively. He started on his own in 2014 with bankerpie.com. This created the base for him in launching DZN Digital Marketing Agency and DigiCard as a seller on e-commerce platform. Mr. Manish has trained over 2,000 plus students and entrepreneurs over the last 8 years on various technical and management skills, online as well as offline. We welcome you, sir.
We are honored to welcome Mr. Vishwajit Sinha to the National Marketing Summit under the aegis of Trade Wings. Vishwajit sir, an alum of IIM Lucknow, is currently the head of brand communications, social media, and influencer marketing at Meesho. He has vast and varied experiences in the e-commerce industry, specifically in brand marketing, having worked across multiple categories ranging from fashion, beauty, baby care, grocery, to appliances and furniture in his 6-year span at Flipkart. He also worked with Larsen & Toubro Integrated Engineering Services before pursuing his PGDM from IIM Lucknow in 2015. We at IIFT Delhi welcome you, sir, to Trade Wins and the National Marketing Summit. We would like to present you a bouquet and we look forward to hearing you.
Team Brandwagon is excited to welcome Priyanka Chetal Sharma, Deputy Vice President, Brand and Content at Indus Ind Bank. Priyanka ma'am is an alum of MICA Ahmedabad and has more than 6+ years of experience in the fields of marketing. Over the years, she has been associated with multiple establishments, brands like Mahindra Group, Zomato, and Paytm. Priyanka ma'am's expertise involves devising brand equity, growth marketing, brand communication, involvement in several new product launches, digital marketing, and user acquisition initiatives. We welcome you, ma'am, to the summit.
We are honored to have Ms. Deepika Rastogi as our moderator today. Ms. Deepika Rastogi is an IIFT Delhi alum and is currently working as the brand manager at Marico on the hair and care and medical division. She has over 7 years of experience in the FMCG sector. She's worked with L'Oreal, where she's responsible for managing the largest hair care brand, Seri, expert in hair care and styling brands under L'Oreal Professional Paris. Over the years, she's worked on brand strategy across digital media, e-commerce, and different salon and emerging new channels. Further, she's closely led several projects with key stakeholders, which include international innovation hubs, supply chain, demand planning and sales forecasting, digital media and PR agencies, sales and education research teams in all aspects of brand management and consumer engagement. We're delighted to have Deepika ma'am as our moderator here at the National Marketing Summit. We would like to present her with a bouquet and invite her to the keynote addresses.
I would like to now invite Deepika ma'am to the stage to deliver the keynote address and moderate the session.
Thank you. Hi, good evening, everyone. All up? Great. So welcome to Trade Marketing Summit by Brandwagon. Very excited to be here with this diverse set of expert panelists who have been instrumental, guys, in disrupting businesses and to digitalize India across different verticals like banking, payments, social and online commerce and software. So I'll just touch upon the topic briefly. We all agree that there's an immense potential in the next billion users. NBU, that's how Google visions it, and the other giants also. And rightly, guys, because Tier 1 group is very saturated. Okay, it's no longer the growth driver for many businesses. So building solutions for Bharat or the next 500 odd million internet users is going to be the biggest and the most challenging opportunity over the next decade. So I was very interested and intrigued by this topic because you see a lot of action in this space, a lot of campaigns, products, activations. But what truly sets the brands and businesses apart is that those who have cracked it for the long run, because only if they earn the trust, only if they earn the loyalty of the next billion users and they don't view it as a short-term data resource, then only they will succeed, they will make that difference and bring difference in their lives and the, of course, overall economy. So in my view, coming from my experience at L'Oreal and Marico, what lies in the, cracking that solution for digital Bharat? That is deep-rooted insight of the consumer that you are providing solutions for, and how they and how you as a solution provider are making difference in their life and, easing that journey, I will say, across all touch points. I'll give you a few industry examples, okay? And they are all driven by consumer insights. I believe everyone here uses Paytm, okay? And when digitization was happening in that peak of 2021, Paytm disrupted with the very, very pertinent problem of the shopkeeper who was actually struggling to keep a tab on the payment received. And he wanted to serve the next consumer. He wanted to match the bill with the payment received. And Paytm cracked it beautifully with the advent of Soundbox in 2021. It was a voice-activated POS, very amazing machine. I have seen it across, and we were talking about also just in the room. And recently, I was watching a reel on Instagram that a fraud comes and replaces the QR code at at the seller point. If he would have Soundbox, then that fraud would have been, he would have mitigated that risk of failure. So that's, of course, we have Priyanka here to talk about it in detail. So these, I would say, were very functional bullseye activations. We also have brands like Mondelez who are speaking to Bharat and driving that emotional connect. Have you guys seen the week before they have launched a campaign, Shop for Shopless? I think they have beautifully done and used digital to give these hawkers who don't have a permanent spot, a permanent virtual spot to actually deliver their goods and services. And very nicely, they have gained awareness amongst us also, because we will now look for a nearby hawker to buy our diyas, etc. this Diwali. So they have beautifully done that campaign. I will say now, coming to company I work with, I very confidently can say that, and for all the FMCGs also, that rural consumption and penetration, that is only going to increase, and we have our full eyes set on how to make that happen, and that will be the next growth engine for us. And I would love to personally share my learnings in this regard. And I actually started my talk with a very powerful thing, that it's only the insight that will make you make the solution for Bharat. So last month itself at Marico, we were very happy to actually go to all the rural cities in India as a group. And we actually did it for two purposes. One, we wanted to see how digital is bringing a difference in their lives, what role digital is playing in their lives, and how they are consuming, and whatever content, shopping, how they're consuming it. So all the teams of marketing, e-com, we all travel to various parts of India and got these insights from rural. So I went to Indore, Bilai Jagir, it's a rural town there, and it was personally like the biggest set of learning for me, because I've never gone and saw the consumer there. So that two bits I think I'll be sharing as my key insights for making solutions for Bharat. So yeah, I'll start. So I have bucketed my insights to keep it sharp. One which delves into the content consumption behavior, and one which is about their shopping behavior. So I'll start with content. You know what they are consuming the most in terms of content, like which platform they're consuming? It's share chat. So it's not TV, it's not radio, it's YouTube. Yeah, YouTube is the most consumed platform, and we did it across groups. So I think 500 interviews later, I'm sharing this. So YouTube is the most common and most consumed platform, and the go-to platform for any genre. They want anything, everything, they will YouTube it. And what struck me the most is that YouTube is not just a video platform for them. When I was speaking to them, it acted as a powerful medium of empowerment. Truly speaking, rural women used to say, "मुझे कुछ नहीं आता, मैंने अब search करके वो सीखा है." Correct? So that acted as an enabler in absence of actual literacy. They were not 10th, 12th pass up. But because of YouTube, they were able to gain that learning, that education, and that confidence कि वो भी एक financially support कर सकते हैं अपनी family को. And what goes behind such a product is what beautifully YouTube has cracked it. So YouTube tells, I think I attended a session, there are 3 V's in this beautiful product. These 3 V's are voice, vernacular, and video. And these 3 are making YouTube very easy to use and the preferred platform to consume also for rural India. And now, of course, videos are moving to short form videos. So YouTube shorts are also emerging. So that bit I really saw. One more small and powerful insight I saw, I was speaking to this 37-year-old mother. She was mother of 2. And unka phone nahi tha. माँ का phone was सबका phone. Because उनके बच्चों को, they were not getting the phone. Because जब तक, their jobs and all are not sorted, they don't get the phone. So I was just saying कि आप क्या search करते हो YouTube पे, आप दिखाएंगे मुझे. And there were a lot of like VHDL coding kaise karte hai to saptadash kaal ka dosh kab hai. You know, all these variety of searches I could see. So as a marketer, I was thinking, okay, if I have to reach this 14-year-old who's, you know, 12th standard mein pad raha hai, so digital is, I will say, okay, because of my demo geo, he is not the consumer, but he's consuming the content on her phone. So, which is why I think role of contextual targeting plays. Basis the content you are consuming, you place your ad like that. So this is how we also, you know, learned that contextual targeting is something that we should definitely have in our IMC when you are, you know, targeting rural. And I handle 2 brands, and both of them have a significant rural consumer base. So those were my learnings, I'll say, for content consumption. Other than that, OTT was on a rise. I think Hotstar, the free model, everybody had Hotstar, and you were right. ShareChat, etc. People do have, but they don't consume it much. Imagine a 35-year-old; they were not using ShareChat. Shaadi ho jati hai, they had a lot of restrictions there in rural, so they were not very open to using that. And OTT, they were saying very, very, like, I think it touched my heart. They said कि टीवी पे सब कुछ चलता है, उनको क्रिकेट देखना है वो देख लेते हैं, बच्चों को कार्टून देखना है वो देख लेते हैं. OTT is मेरा टीवी, जो मुझे देखना है मैं देखती हूँ. So it gave that a, you know, lot of privacy to her and lot of, I'll say, empowerment. Here, whatever she wants to see, she's seeing. So yeah, those were my bit for content consumption. For shopping, I saw rural women were on a fence. Okay, on one side they were experimenting, they were ordering small things, and they were active, but not as much as, of course, urban. And the other one was just window app shopping. They had the app, they used to shop, browse online, but shop offline. And the powerful insight that I could gather from all my interactions, and I think Vishwajit can validate me, is that perception of online shopping, okay, how it is built and driven is by organic work of word of mouth. They were not at all looking at the ads. In fact, many of them were saying, "Hum to bas skip button dabane ka wait karte hain whenever there's a video, etc." So organic word of mouth was a powerful. Somebody's bhua's, bhatija's, auntie must have ordered one shirt, and everybody knew about that in the household, and they used to narrate that incident कि हाँ उसने खरीदा था, काफी अच्छा आया था, time पे आ गया था. So that is how it was built in the rural India as per, you know, the group's learnings. Another big observation, I think Vishwajit will be very happy, was that Meesho was a household name in 100% of the rural India. They don't have Amazon, they don't have Flipkart, they don't have beds to sleep, but they had Meesho on their app. I was actually blown by that, and they were quite active, but they were not shopping, but they were definitely browsing, and they knew all kahan se kya dekhna hai, etc. So I was really intrigued, and I'll ask Vishwajit also to share his learnings from that. So yeah, these two were the diverse consumers I could see in terms of shopping. And when I deep dove, why are you not buying online? Aapko to mil jata time pe. They said quality issues, return issues, ye sab to normal barriers e-com ke we see in urban also. But what's interesting one for me was privacy. They said कि अगर मैं offline से कुछ लेके आती हूँ, अपने room में ले जाती हूँ. But when it comes online, everyone sees it. Everyone gets, you know, it gets scrutinized. So they had that issue because they live in joint families, etc. So they were also quoting this as one of the reasons, or you can say barrier of online shopping. So yeah, with these two learnings, I think my view here is for the brands and businesses. Before we actually talk about solutions, we should definitely, you know, mull into the insights of how they are consuming, what are the potential triggers, potential barriers, and I think that then the product design, the UX can marry into the insight, and then it will be actually successful for the long term. So yeah, that was my view in the nutshell. I would love to open the floor and hear our esteemed panel. So we'll start with Vishwajit. Yeah. So Vishwajit here is from Flipkart and Meesho, so he'll be sharing a lot of learnings from his experience. So excited to have him. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Vishwajit, and I tell stories for India. Sorry, not India, but Bharat's latest poster boy of e-commerce, as was mentioned, which is Meesho. So before I get into my views, I would try to discuss that we are discussing building solutions for Bharat, but what is this India and Bharat at all, right? Overall. So to understand this, I'll start with a story. And most of us know that the name Bharat came into picture maybe because of the epic Mahabharata and the Emperor Bharat who was there, and the country's name was after that, right? So it's strange how, right, that a story like Mahabharata is shaping the popular opinion. That's why I like storytelling. But let me tell you another story that how this name came into picture. So according to Rig Veda's 18th hymn of 7th book, there was a terrible war known as Dashrajna, or the Battle of 10 Kings. The war was fought between 10 powerful tribes who plotted to overthrow King Sudasha of Bharat tribe of Tritsu dynasty. Now this is written in Rig Veda, so maybe it can be a fact, right? But eventually that's what happened. The King Sudasha achieved a great victory over the 10 kings. And over a period of time, the larger people started associating themselves with Bharat tribe. And eventually it started, that the name came up to be Bharatvarsh, right? The land of Bharat, right? So now this is another story. Similarly, Pandit Nehru also wrote in his book, Discovery of India, that, India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. But most of us here understand that Bharat is about people living in tier 2 plus cities and beyond it, right? This definition, as per my opinion, in a way is not completely right. Because for Meesho as a company, right, who has pioneered e-commerce for Bharat, the top contributing cities are from metro. So in a way, stating that tier 2 plus cities is what Bharat is, we don't completely agree to that. For Meesho, what we define is that people or Bharat customers are the customers who value price over convenience, right? And if I have to define the opportunity of Bharat for e-commerce, it is 1.17 billion people, right? These are the people who prefer, as I said before, price over convenience. They prefer mother tongue over English. They are relatively more rooted into the community. They have relatively younger internet age of less than 2 years. And they choose regional media over national media. So the people of Bharat can be geographically anywhere in India, not necessarily only in tier 2 plus cities. So now, since I have established the definition of Bharat customers, I will emphasize on 3 key takeaways about building for Bharat. As per my experience in e-commerce, having worked for both first generation e-commerce companies and now the second generation e-commerce company. So the first takeaway is that don't assume your customers, right? And that was the biggest learning for me when I joined Meesho after Flipkart. So first generation e-commerce companies build their solutions for India first customers. That is customers preferring convenience over price. This started with metro and it slowly trickled down to tier 1 and 2 cities, but it never really boomed in tier 2 plus and beyond. With advent of Jio and the rise of value smartphones and data becoming cheaper, there was a push for e-commerce, but it never really picked up in actual Bharat customers. Why? Because while the first generation e-commerce companies were increasing the access through their selection, what they're offering to the customers, they were also trying to push convenience, which price sensitive customers were not looking for, right? But what did Meesho do differently? So Meesho started with social commerce, which was primarily a proof of concept that price sensitive non-e-commerce customers, will they buy unbranded products online, even if not directly, then indirectly through a reseller, right? And post it pivot to direct selling to customers. The company unbundled everything so that they can offer the lowest price to customers. Example, zonal unbundling. If you order from your nearest seller, you will get additional discount. Returns unbundling. If you do not opt for return service, you can get your product at a lower price. Now we figured, why would somebody not want a return if you don't trust the platform? But interestingly, the users navigate through marketplace. They find out who are the right sellers, good sellers, and they don't opt for returns because they trust those sellers. And now this happened because at company, the inherent assumption about customers was challenged, right? Let me give you another example that how we should not assume our customers. The 5-star rating system, which all of us see in today's e-commerce, right? It was assumed that the platforms built for Bharat, the customers will understand this 5-star rating system, which is a visual rating system. However, a lot of Bharat customers understood 1 star out of 5 star is a top position, and they considered low quality product as the best quality. So when we figured this problem, we changed the 5-star visual rating system to a 5-star numerical scores to solve this comprehension problem. Higher the score, the better the quality is. Right. Now let me talk to you about a marketing example. Right. In marketing communications, the complex format ads and the smart storytelling these days is being done to stand out of the clutter. And this strategy, up to an extent, work for India customers primarily who have better ad literacy. But if you go towards Bharat customers, the ad literacy is really low. And what trumps everything is the age-old simple storytelling. Hence, it is very important to not assume that Bharat customers, when building for them, that you assume that whatever worked for metros will work for them also. Now, the second takeaway is Bharat's aspiration are stronger than India. So this is another very critical thing to keep in mind while building for price-sensitive Bharat. Just because they are limited by their means and the choices available to them because of lower access, it doesn't mean that their aspirations are also lower. One good example in my head is my own brand campaign, which we did. So when we started working on Meesho brand, we discussed that we want to tell stories of people whose stories have never been told. Because if you see in Indian advertising, especially in retail, most of the imagery, what you see is everything is spick and span, everything is organized, and everything is made to look good. So we wanted to showcase the real life of a Bharat audience and the raw imagery. But what happened? All of us figured that, oh, it is something different we are doing and we are going to see a great success. But the campaign tanked. Why? The post-campaign research highlighted that while the campaign films were high on engagement because they were relatable, but customers didn't feel the imagery in the films aspirational enough for them to take any action. Another example of aspiration is one of the stories from Meesho customers when we went out for our brand strategy research. This is a story about a 16-year-old girl in Hyderabad. She belongs to a conservative family with limited hours to step out of house. She and her friends have discovered blue eye lenses on Instagram, and every one of them wanted to own it, but they couldn't afford it. So she found similar eye lenses on Meesho within her budget and finally flaunted them among her friends. So what did we learn out of this story in our brand strategy was that the real magic happens when a solution can cater to aspiration of Bharat customers in their limited needs. Yeah. Coming to the third takeaway, work with the brain and not against it. What do I mean by that? So if you see, the human brain processes visual content 60,000 times faster than text, which means a picture is worth 60,000 words. So taking wisdom from this fact, we at Meesho asked, why do we need text-based filters? What we find in first-generation e-com companies, because the text-based filters were not good enough for comprehension among the less tech-savvy Bharat customers, and hence we came up with visual filters. The result was that the adoption of visual filters on the app went up drastically. Right. Another example again is working with the brain is that first generation e-commerce companies have different apps for users and sellers. Now, most of these sellers, if you see, they end up also having the user app to check their own listing or maybe for their own personal requirements. It's not an issue to have two apps for bigger sellers because of the kind of smartphones which they can own. But when it comes to small and micro sellers, it becomes a big problem because of data and storage issues in their phone. So it was intuitive for Meesho to keep both user and seller portal in the same app without significantly increasing the size of the app. Now coming back to the marketing example for this takeaway, most of the first generation e-commerce companies pitched e-commerce as a new and smarter way of shopping. And I'm also guilty of doing the same when I was at Flipkart. While fundamentally there is nothing wrong in doing so, and it has worked for early adopters of technology and customers with larger wallet size, this approach might not work for Bharat customers. Because anything that is unfamiliar, that involves money and limited means, will increase dissonance in customer minds. Hence at Meesho, we have defined the brand purpose on two key pillars, accessibility and familiarity. And hence what we're saying that the brand Meesho is a familiar neighborhood market and not a shiny glass facade shop or an e-commerce app, which is a new way of shopping, because it will be unfamiliar to Bharat customers. All the initiatives which are taken in the company is to reduce or remove this dissonance, which is shopping online, right? So with this, I'll just summarize my three key takeaways for you guys. Don't assume your customers. Bharat's aspiration are stronger than India, and work with the brain, not against it. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Vishri. That was quite insightful. We'll now have Satinder sir to share his learnings with Birlasoft and, of course, his recently joined PhD synopsis, etc. also. So I think we will give it for Satinder sir.
Hi. हिंदी चलेगी? So, I'm quite a dinosaur, right? My profile would have told you that. But I think the only thing that keeps me alive is I'm a student of marketing. Still there. You'll have to sorry about that. Thank you. Still a student of marketing, and I still get fascinated by what I see. So all this online is hugely fascinating for me. I was discussing when we were having our discussion in the previous room, I still don't have a UPI or a Paytm equivalent app on my phone. And I still struggle to pay through QR code, various apprehensions, so I could be a good case study. But when I saw the topic building solutions that would solve for Bharat and India at 100, you know, the mind went into two sides. India at 75, India at 100, right? That would have prompted probably India at 100. And then when you kind of are working through, you come across this rule called 80-20. Heard of 80-20 rule, right? So 80-20 is when, you know, let's say 80% of what you do helps you in 20% of results, so on and so forth. There are many connotations to that. I think what India at 75 will define what India would be at 100. So roughly that 80-20 or 75-25, as you can say. And then, you know, I was just going through some data, and it's humongous. I got a WhatsApp forward from a fellow academician, Professor Dasgupta of IMI, which mentioned that the extent of UPI payments, you know, and me and he were chatting, and that's a classical case of bottom of the pyramid. UPI is becoming a much talked of phenomena across the globe, primarily because it engaged bottom of the pyramid, right? But then various studies. So World Economic Forum says, and let me rattle some data points, and then we'll talk about it, right? India is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. I mean, of course, we heard by 2030, 4x growth in consumer spend. The figures came out in 22, in the current year. 80% of households by 2030 would be middle income, up from 50%. Now, if you just put a percentage to it, from 50 to 80, we're talking about a 40% rise, almost. Mind-boggling. And look at the base number, right? Now, because those population would migrate to middle income levels, there would be upward mobility. Incomes would rise, disposable income would go up, and it would drive growth across all consumption categories. There would be 2 to 2.5x more on essential categories like of food, apparel, personal care, gadgets, transport, housing, etc. These are essential categories. They would drive 2 to 2.5x growth. We're talking next 8 years, right? Some of you would be probably at the same level where Dipali is after 8 in 2030, right? So that's a foreseeable future. 3 to 4x more on services. Now, again, you know, if you do a percentage of 2.2 or 2.5x or 3 to 4x, it's almost 30-40% higher. Services consumption is going up. And we're talking about things like healthcare, education, entertainment, household, right? Just stay with me on these dots, and then I'll connect the dots for you subsequently. Now, because you're getting more disposable income, so half the rupee will go into buying more. We're talking of quantity here. Half the income would go to buying more, and rest half would be equally divided in buying better and buying new. So quantity and quality. Now, buying better has another little connotation to it, another layering to it. Buying better means only if you have experienced something, then only you can buy better. Got into the category, 10,000 rupee wala phone, now you want to buy a 20,000 rupee wala phone, so on and so forth. So that is the connotation for buying better. Aspirations are fast converging across urban and rural India. Now, if you go to, I heard the term, we use it in marketing, tier 2, tier 3 towns, right? Do you think somebody from tier 2 or tier 3 would say we are any less when it comes to consuming? If you're buying an iPhone, whether you're buying in tier 2, tier 3 or in Delhi or Bombay, your aspiration, experience, expectations are just the same. So I think this demographic aspect of tier 1, 2, 3 would get dissolved, which is there in Western countries. In Germany, a lot of my colleagues, I handle international marketing, a lot of my colleagues stay in villages. They work out of village. I've been staying here for 23 years. I've been staying here for ever since I know of. So those villages are pretty much advanced. We are going there, right? Then at a given income level, both these consumer groups, urban, rural, which is divided right now, desire a similar standard of living. That is what I was attributing in my phone selling example. A similar standard of living aspire to similar set of brands and are equally comfortable with technology-enabled consumption. Now, this is a catchword, technology-enabled consumption. And consumption would become digitally influenced. This connectedness that we have, that we are experiencing, would drive significant differences in preferences, even at the same income level, the connectedness. So you have a connected customer and a non-connected customer. So there would be difference there. There are digital platforms which are being used for product discovery and pre-purchase research. That extent is going to go double. Income and age may have been the traditional drivers of preferences. That's what we hear, right? We read. But in future, and this is what I profess, this is World Economic Forum data. This is not my data. Whatever I'm reading is from there. Preferences would be significantly driven by consumers' degree of connectedness to digital media and online platforms. So there would be a connected and a non-connected consumer. You would have two research lines, and you would also be measuring the degree of connectedness. So as a future marketeers or future entrepreneurs, you will have to deal with that set, right? Important aspect. India's eternal hunt for value will aid growth of e-commerce. We are extremely value-driven consumers at all levels, right? Value for money, brands and category extensions would drive. My example, there is this shoe brand, and I'll also refer to that shoe brand later. It's called Msmes, right? I've been eyeing that. And first point of validation happened in office. One of the fellow colleagues was wearing that. I saw that. I said, Vivek, Msmes hai kya? He said, हाँ sir, बहुत अच्छे हैं. Light hai, अच्छे हैं. Very good. So that was the first point of validation. And then I saw the promotion of 50% discount. I bought 2 pairs. Yeah, that is the value hunt. And Neiman's experience is one part. The fact that I bought it at 50% is a greater joy. That doesn't go out of us. It will not, right? We are talking about high advent of connected customers. So I was I was doing my bit of binge on the weekend, and I finished second season of Jamtara. Right? How many Jamtara viewers? Right? Now, what intrigued me in season 2? So there is character scamster, Sunny Mandal. He's wounded in season 1. He's incapable, whatever, for walking and all that. But the guy's genius. So earlier scam was, taking your PIN and emptying your bank account, etc. This guy in this series 2 comes with 3 scams, all really believable. Kaun banega crorepati equivalent, scamming people on that, finds a flaw in an app, through that uses that flaw to crack the PIN number of credit cards. That is not important. Important part is, see, these Jamtara screenwriters are coming from all of us. The character is pretty much believable and real. Must be happening somewhere. If it has happened 1%, they may in film and OTT may show it at 100%. Something is happening somewhere. वो हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, बगैर आग के धुआं नहीं उठता. तो कहीं चिंगारी लगी होगी. And there are scamsters. Point is not of scamsters. Point is the ability of Indian mind to circumvent the rule and the law. Right? Nobody would have thought the examples that Dipali gave us that would happen in the rural area. Right? So never underestimate the power of Indian mind. We are huge. Rule पहले बनता है, हम उसका circumvention immediately बात निकाल देते हैं. We are like that. That's the DNA. We will not change. That won't change in 2030. That won't change in 2050. That will stay with you. So, Indian customer that way needs to look at every option, and as a marketeer, you need to be ahead of them in the game. Try to be ahead of them in the game. Looks difficult. Another advent on the what will solve for Bharat. 5G is coming along. I was reading about the use cases for 5G. One of the, the connectedness, I spoke about connected and non-connected consumer, the reality, the decision making that is happening in real time, it will become even more quicker. One of the couple of use cases for 5G, one of the important ones, right, which will impact India. One of the bigger problems, all of you are aware, which is plaguing our healthcare system, is lack of doctors, right? We are not producing enough doctors at the rate our population needs, right? But with 5G, you could do immersive trainings because latency and throughput would go up. As in, latency would go down and throughput would go up. We are talking of GBPSs. Now, can you imagine, training for doctors and the scale that would go up because of the use of 5G? And remote patient consultancy would go up. The accuracy of remote patient consulting goes up because 5G gives you that low latency and high throughput, right? So 5G will solve that problem. 5G will also solve, which is the newer aspect emerging. You would have heard the term called metaverse, which is primarily based on technologies like AR, VR. Now, AR, VR becomes cakewalk on back of 5G. Now, you imagine, Misho's and whole bunch of other stores on metaverse, their interactivity, their test marketing, and the potential. It's phenomenal, right? That being said, last 75 years, what has happened? And I said, I'm quite a dinosaur. I grew up in the era when I've celebrated arrival of black and white TV at my house, right? But what has happened in the last 25 years is what is known as democratization of aspiration. So now I'm moving from facts and figures to some more qualitative stuff, and then we'll connect the two. What has happened as a democratization of aspiration meant there was enhanced consumption. Consumptions went up. All of you would have read the sachet model that increased the consumption, that also increased the entry into a particular category. But what they did at a subliminal level was it enhanced aspiration and confidence. Even if you were using that shampoo once a week, that 50 paisa Sachet, that's where it started. It increased your aspiration and it increased confidence. And as the consumption increased, we learned to deal with the choice. When I was growing up, 2 or 3 models of cars. How many models of cars would you get today in a given band? Let's not talk of phones and let's not talk of other gadgets. But when I was growing up, I remember key aspirational categories, 2 or 3 brands. That's it. Take it or leave it. So we've learned to deal with the choice. There are platforms now available which help you choose better, right? Then you had mobile and mobile phone explosion, the data explosion, which gave us scale at breakneck speed. If you look at those charts, you see a sudden spike, very sharp. That was happening in a short duration. We got connected and the quality of data went up phenomenally high. So it gave us that scale and connectedness at breakneck speed. And if that was not enough, social media followed immediately after. Maybe it was a result of that adoption went up, right? But then what social media gave me was the ability to amplify my voice. And that gave me the identity. Deepali spoke about that identity, ye OTT wala mera TV. So that identity again, increased my confidence. Too bad they banned TikTok here, but we had TikTok stars, right? Then the act of what I'm noticing is that when there is this need, there is this increased self-confidence, then it brings in the need for worthy presence of self. It brings in the need for worthy presence of self, which again makes me consume differently. The act of consumption is becoming more conscious. We are more conscious, which is this brand, environment-friendly brand, women-friendly brand, this friendly brand. We are becoming more conscious. This was the behavior noticed in developed economies. At least in metros, we are behaving like that. That again points us Bharat at 100. This then leads us to need for multiple identities, which is not defined by one's educational background, job title, or positions. Earlier, when I started, it was like, you would have heard the story, right? हमारे time पे engineering, medical, सरकारी नौकरी 2 या 3 career होते थे. अभी तो बहुत सारे career, right? We are all parents to young kids, as in teenage and working kids in my school group. And somebody said, what should I tell my son to do? He's pursuing his BCom. He says, ma'am, उससे पूछो वो चाहता क्या? That was the response. My father told me, तेरे को ये करना है. So we are in multiple identities. I mean, you could be a MBA IB student here. Outside your Insta profile, your focus could be totally something else. It could be travel. It could be women's liberation. It could be animal rights. So you yourself right now are experiencing multiple identities, and this will become norm. Now, when you are finding your consumer in future, which is not very distant, you will have to deal with the ability to deal with these multiple identities. How would you do that? Right? But one of the biggest drivers that I've seen in last 75 years is the growth aspirations of women. They've skyrocketed. The independence, it's a quantum increase. It is an unanticipated, unimagined increase in their aspirations. And I'm not talking of metro. I'm talking of somebody out on the outskirts of Indore. Right? Now, the biggest point, and I'm towards the last part of my conversation. Aspirations drive on-ground change. Aspirations drive momentous changes. Indian independence movement was an aspiration at one point of time. It drove a change. Go back to all the revolutions. There were people aspirations which were not being met. And then people will go impatient and would take action to meet their aspirations. So if we are talking about democratization of aspirations, people will find their way to take those aspirations to next level. Where is marketing coming in this? We have beautiful lever of driving these aspirations. We can sell sugar, soda, water as something that drives thunder, right? We can sell a Vaseline cream, something that drives wrongfully fairness, right? We can sell a pack of houses as Sapno Ka Ghar and things like that. I mean, look at the real estate advertising, right? We have this huge lever of building and driving aspirations. So if you are looking for solutions that will solve for Bharat, focus on building those aspirations and how can you leverage that. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. That was quite an analytical take, I would say, on the topic, and you have covered such diverse examples of e-commerce, shoes, social media, women. It was beautiful. I think we all agree. And we'll now move to, and I think I'll take back that aspiration conclusion with me. I think that was quite insightful for me. We'll now have Priyanka, who was ex-Paytm and now she's with Unity. So she has a good you can say background of payment and now banking. So I think let's hear her thoughts on building solution for Bharat from a digital payment lens as well. So over to you, Priyanka.
A very good evening, everyone. Sitting for so long, I think you get a little. Okay. First of all, I'd like to commend the fellow panelists for sharing such great thoughts. And of course, the IIFT team for putting together such a stupendous event. Thank you so much. And when we speak of Bharat, somehow the segment, I think, which is emerging is the MSME segment, which is micro, small, and medium enterprises. Now, before I begin talking about this segment, I'm sure you would have heard of Project Shakti by Unilever, right? Can any of you tell me the objective of that initiative? Anybody? Why was Project Shakti launched or started in the first place? Any guesses? It's okay, it's not a classroom lecture. Sure.
From the company's perspective and from the perspective of the empowerment of women, like there is a social perspective as well as there is a company's perspective of gaining a new market or entering a new market. So that they were using the women as a lever, you're empowering them and then entering new market with their products.
Super, super. Very big hand. So basically, the objective of that initiative was to enable women in villages across India to nurture an entrepreneurial mindset and become financially independent. Under this program, women micro-entrepreneurs called Shakti Ammas are trained on the basic tenets of distribution and acquainted with Unilever brands. Now imagine this entrepreneurial mindset spreading across India and the impact that it can have on the overall economy. One such emerging segment, like I just said, which has the capability to change the landscape of India in the coming future is the MSME. You might be surprised to know that India is home to over 7 million micro, small and medium enterprises. 7 million, just imagine. And they span across the country, all tiers, right? The MSME segment is expected to play a significant role in positioning India as one of the leading economies in the world over the next decade. The development of this segment is extremely critical to meet the national imperatives of financial inclusion and generation of significant levels of employment across urban, rural areas across the country. Further, it can nurture and support development of new age entrepreneurs who have the potential to create globally competitive businesses from India. So one of the initiatives that you might have heard is Atmanirbhar Bharat, which is by the government of India, right?
So the new wave MSME should enable the development of a business ecosystem that enables and continuously support business that are gearing to deliver the right product, the right quality, the right solution, and the right service at a competitive price, both in domestic and international markets. Now, there are several schemes for MSMEs in India. The top 3 noteworthy ones, according to me, are collateral-free credit to MSMEs, procurement and marketing support scheme, wherein there are opportunities available to the MSMEs to participate in domestic exhibitions and trade fairs across the country, employment generation program. This is the scheme that basically aims at providing financial assistance to self-employment ventures in order to generate employment opportunities for unemployed youth and traditional artisans. This also includes bank finance subsidy scheme for setting up micro enterprises in the non-farm sector. Other than the schemes and the encouragement from the government, certain external factors such as the pandemic have been instrumental in driving the digital use case. You would now see various entrepreneurs increasingly making use of technology to sell their products. Not only that, the level of awareness by the feet on street executives of various companies and digital media have led to this massive behavior shift. Several MSMEs have transitioned towards digitization and e-commerce. Of course, you know it the best. So Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, West Bengal, and Tamil Nadu are amongst some top states where local enterprises have shown maximum interest in taking their business online. Now, due to the current sentiment towards digital transformation and e-commerce, a huge chunk of the new sellers on Flipkart, for instance, come from smaller cities. Now, given this context, there are products which are now being specifically targeted and marketed to this segment with an aim to support and facilitate the growth of this sector across the country. You would now see a lot of marketing effort across relevant organizations to promote a wide array of products like loans, buy now, pay later, current accounts, data analytics support, QR codes, POS machines, etc. How does this help fuel growth further? By fulfilling significant pent-up demand in the economy, not only from Tier 1, but also from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. Speaking of some success stories, Mrs. Dasari Aruna of Polytech Injection Molding Company, merely by taking a loan of 38 lakhs, attending entrepreneurship development programs, started Ananya Green Tech, her first business unit, and kept on expanding it. Today, she is working to come up with more resilient and sustainable eco-friendly solutions regarding waste management in urban communities. Similarly, with the desire to bring positive change in the lives of farmers, a company was established by a group of women to support farmers in terms of value addition of agricultural products for enhancing their income level. Damini Women Farmers Producer Company is involved in growing of crops, market gardening, and horticulture. They avail technological support for manufacturing equipments, and today they not only support farmers, but also generate women employment in rural areas. And what is further interesting is that the development of this entire ecosystem propels growth across various spheres of people's lives. Encouragement to this sector results in growth in infrastructure, technology, and also results in making people digitally aware and sound, thus opening up ways to increase exposure amongst a sector that was earlier untapped. Marketing to this sector is extremely heartening because you know that you're encouraging a behavior shift that will make a significant impact in people's lives across the country. Jai Hind.
Thanks, Priyanka. I think it was a fresh set of learnings for me in MSME. I had no idea about what are the barriers and what are things actually done for this segment to actually become digitally more efficient and enabled. So thanks for sharing. I think that was very, very insightful for me. We now have Manish, who has a rich experience in banking and now is top 0.5.
Yes.
Top 0.5 seller on Amazon Flipkart by the name of Card. So over to him to share his bit on this topic.
How's the Josh? How's the Josh? मजा नहीं आया. How's the Josh? So I wonder how it is high and why it is high even at this moment. I don't know, because even while I was coming here, the Google map showed that IIFT is closed for now. It opens on Monday 9 a.m. So I don't know what you are doing here. But I did find that the seats this side are the best ones, especially for the backbenchers. These are little giveaways. यहाँ पे पता चल जाता है आप लोग क्या कर रहे हो, वहाँ नहीं पता चलता. So, you know, I may be asking certain questions there. And about me getting invited as a fifth speaker, it's very difficult, you know, because I had to rewrite my points, and I was rewriting. Many of you must have been noticing me doing that. And then I realized that all the points have been spoken. So it's very difficult to be the last speaker, but I'll try to do the justice as much as possible. I tend to accept the invites to speak, especially, you know, once you are into 20 years of marriage, and even if it is your wife's birthday, which today it is. And I think happy birthday, Sangeeta, you'll be watching me here live on the YouTube, because both of us, after this experience with the corporate in ICICI Bank, Reliance, Fullerton Retail, Fullerton India, I have been quite a disruptor myself. I have disrupted my life by you know, kind of leaving the job twice. In 2005, it didn't work out, went back to the corporate. Then in 2014 again, hopefully it worked out. Me and my wife, we opened up a digital marketing agency, which is doing fine. And then 2-3 years more down the line, in 2018, we opened up you know, another firm wherein we are doing the e-commerce, and we are sellers on Amazon and Flipkart. हम चूल्हे बेचते हैं, gas stoves. So we roughly sell about 14-15,000 units per month, and my mom often asks me कि कौन खरीदता है ये, कि भाई हमारे यहाँ तो 7-8 साल से हमने कोई नया चूल्हा नहीं खरीदा. So do you know the answer to this question? कौन खरीदता है ये? Sorry, louder. Okay, so I'll come back to the topic. I'll you know, react to that thing, rural India, that came here. Building solutions for Bharat. So I think जब से ये मोदी जी ने नारा दिया है, मतलब Mahabharat was one, it started with there, but when Modi ji started speaking Atmanirbhar Bharat, Swabhimani Bharat, you know, make for India and everything, the Bharat actually, I think, has been misconstrued to be just tier 2, tier 3, or a rural India. But that Bharat is in you also, and the Bharat is also there outside, even within Delhi, within the clusters, the JJ clusters of Delhi. They are also those people, the same segment as we could find in the, you know, the rural areas, so as to say. So the entire Bharat is that. And why Modi ji said that, I'll give you a perspective, because I have come from corporate where we were chasing targets, not every year, not every month, but every day. Aaj LI kitna kiya. So I don't know whether you know, people would really understand that. But if you're coming from the banking background, you would understand ki LI matlab life insurance kitna kiya. So that kind of a daily target that was there. From there, when I actually started on my own and I started interacting with the people, the manufacturers, I realized that, you know what, how they do business, that's completely different, how they do business. A business could be focused on many markets, but what one thing is for sure, for certain, 30-40 साल अगले ये हमारे हैं, इंडिया के हैं पक्का. So you are at the best place possible, the best phase possible, even better than you know, what me and my esteemed fellow panelists, we have already started. For you, it's like going to get crazy. Opportunities की कोई कमी नहीं होगी. So with this definition of Bharat, I would like to work with you. When I'm going to speak the next 5-6 minutes, you have to think about yourself. How many of you think about yourself in 8-10 years, 5 years, 2 years as an entrepreneur? Okay, thank you. As product managers? Okay, as P&L heads or the CEOs in their smaller segments or companies. Okay, thank you. And all those who have not raised hands till now. Okay, I think the number should be more. Okay, what do you want to be?
I basically come from UPSC background and looking to go into the space of policy consulting.
Great. So that is also a great area. Please take your seat. Thank you. So when we are going to discuss this engagement, जो हम कर रहे हैं अभी भारत के ऊपर जो हम कर रहे हैं, 30-40 साल बहुत अच्छे हैं. आप ये सोचिए next आपने क्या करना है. When I'm giving some examples, just think, place yourself in that example and see that how would you do or how would you be thinking. Next 5 to 10 years, maybe you can take in discovering yourself. Take the experience wherever it comes from. Just think, how would you be doing if you were to take complete control of that situation? How would you be doing that? So, I have put in the money inside the ATM in the year 2000, and one of my uncles asked me कि जो तू काम कर रहा है अभी, is it relevant of whatever you have done in the past? I said that everything is relevant. From inventory matching to payment matching, it's exactly the same thing, only the context changes. But what we are doing is this only. We buy something, that's inventory, that's money, and then we sell it, so that liquidation is money that should come in and they should match. It's not much different. So we used to apply our minds कि ये पैसा कहाँ गया, ये note कम क्यों हो गया. The same solution, problem solving approach we are applying in these areas also, as of now, as of today, in whatever I am doing, and you would also be doing. आपका technical skill एक time के बाद इतना काम नहीं आएगा जितना आपका common sense काम में आएगा. So be alert, be observant, be curious. I go to my bank branches, when I have some work, and because of my experience of working in ICICI Bank, people would say, "Sir, आपको तो पता ही होगा." मैं कहता हूँ, मुझे नहीं पता भाई, सीरियस से समझा दें मुझे. I do not know what you are talking about. So you have to be that inquisitive. So go out there, play 5-10 years easily, enrich your experience. What would hold you after 5-10 years? Just think, what would hold you from not doing what you want to do? Any guesses? Sorry? Very good. Liabilities. So this is what is going to hold you. Okay. You have to be very, very careful in what kind of liabilities that you are taking on yourself when you step out in this world. Be it a home loan EMI, because I have seen people not only base the career decisions basis the home loan EMIs they are paying, but also basing their personal decisions like marriage and having a child just because they have to bear the home loan EMI, because if she sits, then we lose the double income. We cannot bear to pay this home loan EMI. In the coming years, the one thing that needs from your side to be done is to stay very swift, very nimble. Build as little liabilities, which are the most important ones, so that you can take any opportunity that comes your way. For myself, I have stayed in rented facilities all the time, in terms of wherever I'm working, be it the office space or the warehouse space. And this has helped us in moving or taking decisions whichever is beneficial for the business, and not taking into consideration that I have a fixed asset who would be using that. So I would move my cheese very swiftly and very nimbly, and so should you be able to do it. And that is why I have been able to actually take this decision twice, even though it didn't work out in the first place. And God has been kinder this time around. I'll also tell you what has happened. Two things before I build on more. One on the manufacturing side of it, and the other on the marketing side of it. So Sir told you about the consumption story. The consumption story is there, and why it is there, I'll come back. चूल्हे कौन खरीद रहा है? भारत खरीद रहा है. क्यों इतने सारे खरीद रहा है? Because the marketing is getting very, very personalized and customized. तो वो आपको भोगीवाद की तरफ ले जा रहे हैं. which is bad or right, I don't know, I don't care on that. If it is the disposable income is good for you, you can manage within that, you splurge, it is fine. कंज्यूमरिज्म को बढ़ावा मिलेगा, सब कुछ सही होगा. घर चाहिए आपको क्योंकि आप पेरेंट्स से अलग रहेंगे, जॉइंट फैमिली का कंसेप्ट जा रहा है घर में, फिर आपको एक एक्स्ट्रा किचन चाहिए, आपको एयरपोर्ट चाहिए क्योंकि इन द सेम रूम देयर वुड बी मेनी पीपल वाचिंग डिफरेंट प्रोग्राम्स, सो आपको वो चीज चाहिए सो दैट एवरीबॉडी कैन वॉच अ डिफरेंट प्रोग्राम. सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग हियर इज द मल्टीप्लिसिटी ऑफ थिंग्स दैट यू नीड, वो चीज बढ़ रही है. So that marketing is affecting you like that, and you would be told to do exactly those kind of things, hit upon the aspirational value, the FOMO thing, FOMO वो बहुत बड़ा hit है वो लोगों के दिमाग में, and on the manufacturing side, I'll tell you what is happening. India opened up in about 90s. Manufacturing was not very well developed. This was like a lot of bureaucracy. So what happened in 90s was that whoever were there in manufacturing, जब उनको बहुत सारा काम मिलने लगा, तो they started, मतलब they just couldn't believe it. And what was happening is that most of it was moving into the real estate etc. because they would make money और वो real estate में चला जाएगा. Very few people actually moved out of this kind of a cycle, and they were able to create a company which was in 90s about 10 crores, 20 crores, 50 crores to 1000 crore revenue plus. बहुत सारे लोग जो अच्छे कर सकते थे वो 50-60 करोड़ पे सेट होके रह गए. इवन आफ्टर इन्फ्लेशन आप एडजस्ट कर लेंगे तो भी वो 50, 60, 70, 80 करोड़ तक पहुंच पाए, उससे ज्यादा नहीं बढ़ पाए. नाउ व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज द थिंग्स आर चेंजिंग नाउ. थिंग्स आर चेंजिंग बिकॉज चाइना में थोड़ा कुछ हुआ है. एनी आइडिया व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इन चाइना इन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग? एनी आइडिया? ओके, सो व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इन चाइना इज दैट जो वो लोग बिल्कुल रूल्स नहीं फॉलो करते थे इन टर्म्स ऑफ चाहे वो लेबर हो या पॉल्यूशन हो, दैट हैज काइंड ऑफ कम टू हॉन्ट देम. तो सडनली द कैपेसिटीज आर गॉन because of pollution, because of the norms and the compliances they're facing, and a lot of business has come back to India. So whatever we see, the Mercedes Benz being rolled out or the iPhone 14s being manufactured here, and so many the army is getting so many helicopters or fighting aircrafts indigenously made. It has happened because the manufacturing base is actually shifting. और अगर वो manufacturing base shift होगा, so it opens up a lot of opportunities for us. Okay, so now these two things are happening, and you have to be swift, nimble, explore things so that आप 5-10 साल में इतना enough experience build up कर लो कि आप उसको use कर सकें. Now what is going to happen? Next, what you have to do is search for the opportunities. Where are the opportunities? Any ideas? Where are the opportunities in the coming few years? Okay, anybody else? Energy, I take the point. Yeah, digital. Okay, health. So digital is actually a I would say a kind of a enabler rather than the opportunity itself. Fintech. Okay, manufacturing, which all? Automobiles. Okay, आपको कुछ नहीं करना, आप नीति आयोग का वो उठा लीजिए कि वो कहाँ फोकस कर रहे हैं. कुछ नहीं करना आपको, और मैं बता रहा हूं आपको 2030 तक जो वो कर रहे हैं ना, उसके कहीं किसी एक्टिविटी में घुस जाइए. ठीक है, you don't have to flow against the tide at all. I'll give you 2 very good examples for that. Videocon, वो बोलता है कि LCD आ रहा है, LED आ रहा है, I don't care. मैं CRT में इन्वेस्ट करूंगा. आई थिंक ये 2006 या 7 की बात है. आई एम दैट ओल्ड. आई वाज इन ICICI बैंक अराउंड दैट टाइम, तो आई न्यू व्हाट वाज हैपनिंग. तो वीडियोकॉन को लोन दिया था ICICI बैंक ने CRT पे. सोच के देखिए, everything is shrinking, and that guy says, Venugopal Dhut, that I am going to still continue with the CRT. Why flow against the tide? You shouldn't, right? And second, it is okay to be number 2 and number 3. It is okay to be that. हम लोग जब कुछ लॉन्च करते हैं ई-कॉमर्स में, Amazon, Flipkart पे, I do not want to be the first mover at all. Being a first mover entails a lot of cost, energy, money, जो एज अ स्मॉल एंटरप्रेन्योर मेरे पास नहीं है. आप बहुत बड़ी कंपनी में, एक स्टार्टअप में, बहुत अच्छी बात है, उसके अंदर आप खर्च कर सकते हैं, करिए. मेरे पास नहीं है वो पैसा. What do I do? somebody told me 2 years back, yeah, कि egg boiler होता है कुछ. We are vegetarians. My daughter plays badminton. We had to give her eggs, only her, nobody else in the house. We can't. The entry of the egg is banned in the house. So I told one of my friends कि भाई तू सुबह अंडे उबाल दिया कर, मैं ले जाऊंगा इसको खिला दूंगा. He said कि यार why don't you use the egg boiler? You can keep it in the car when she goes to the academy, boil it then and there और उसको खिला दो. मैंने कहा ये क्या होता है? So has anybody heard egg boilers? Okay. I went to Amazon. मैंने वो देखा. केंट के एग बॉयलर पे 10,000 के करीब रिव्यूज था उस टाइम पे, 2 साल पहले की बात है. मैंने वहां की ब्रांड एनालिटिक्स रिपोर्ट चेक करी एंड आई केम टू नो दैट एग बॉयलर इज द 600th मोस्ट सर्च्ड आइटम ऑन Amazon. The first being either a laptop or a mobile phone. I said this is a wonderful business opportunity. So I spoke to my vendor who supplies me things. Within 6 months, about in March 2021, we launched egg boiler from Amazon and Flipkart, and the first 100 days we sold 7,500 pieces. This is the real market potential which is there. Kent बेच रहा था, पता नहीं कितने और लोग बेच रहे थे, which was okay. So second और third mover, इंडिया में market इतना है, आप उसको कितना भी slice कर लीजिए, कितना भी कर लीजिए. You have to be really at your worst. Your luck should be really at the worst if you're not making money. Okay, so I was talking about whichever businesses that you can focus on and then you can build down, gradually go down. So look at the opportunities which are available in agriculture, in education, in healthcare. अब education में इतने सारे लोग घुस गए. क्या हो गया कि भाई वो कहते हैं ठीक है एजुकेशन कर रहे हैं सब एडटेक करेंगे, अब सारे एडटेक जो है लोगों को निकाले जा रहे हैं. Why? They take money. There is so much of pressure to do things. What happens is that, I'm sorry, but I have heard, in Paytm, one of my friends was telling that there was a person who used to sleep for about half a day in Paytm because he was taken, because they had money to spend and they didn't have work for him. Okay, so that is also a thing. And when the investor pressure is there, you are not able to. You have to save yourself in any board presentation or any review meeting that is happening. अगर वो pressure नहीं होगा तो आप क्या करेंगे? What are you going to do? Any guesses? Any guesses? And this is the crux. Sorry, louder.
Just keep on spending without harassment.
That is one, but आप spend किसके लिए कर रहे हो?
Gain the market share to gain the revenue.
ओके, तो रेवेन्यू कैसे आएगा आपको? सिर्फ मार्केटिंग करने से? Any more guesses? Acquiring customers. Yes, you are getting there. How would you acquire customers? Promotions is one thing. I think it has been little discussed already here. Like Meesho, they said that did it beautifully. Proof of concept, the social commerce, everything gelling well. You have to focus on the user. And please remember this word user. I am not saying customer. Customer is the one who, and the user is the one. So you have to focus on the user all the time. If you focus on the user, वो product आपका चलेगा. So I had been a part, in Startup India, we won an award. I was a founder there. Has anybody used Audi Uniraps? That's like a paper foil, a paper that is used to wrap the foods in the tiffins. Sorry? Yeah, yes, Audi wraps. So that's ours. I am a part of that. It's one of my friends manufacturing that they are doing. And we won the Startup India award for that. And we have been covered by Startup Champions, this thing. What we did? I think this could be the last takeaway and then I'll close it within a minute or so. So we had this product. We created a distribution for that in Delhi market. And we were ready कि अब हम इसको replicate कर सकते हैं. But the question that was with us was, and very important, please listen to this. We wanted to move fast. We were doing a lot of presentations. We were going to a lot of forums. We were doing a lot of, marketing by giving the product in hand to the customer at the shops at various events that we were doing. It somehow reached in the bag in the home of the directors of LT Foods, which is the Dawat Basmati rice. Have you heard of it? Okay. About a month later, we were presenting in I think there is one initiative by Times of India wherein they promote these startups. I'm forgetting that. So they take some stake in the place of some ad spends that they promise that they'll give you. So they invited us because we were prospective customers for them. We didn't take their deal. LT Foods people were sitting there. So you see, the marketing was working because we were marketing ourselves. It reached them. They had already, tested us. We spoke to each other and we said that we don't want money. We would rather have a distribution in place. And you guys are a 4,000 crore company of which 25% is the domestic business. 1,000 crore का आपका धंधा है, जिसके अंदर आप online भी हो, modern trade में भी हो, और immediately general trade में भी हमारे को आप access दे दोगे. And we struck a deal in about 3 months or so. And almost overnight, we had the reach to about 80,000 retail outlets that they were covering, of which at least 10,000 were making sense to us because ours was a product of that kind. So collaboration works. क्योंकि आप कहीं पे भी कुछ भी काम कर रहे हो, आप edtech में हो या किसी में भी हो, अगर आप ध्यान से सोचेंगे, so there would be a market, there would be people serving the market. How can you collaborate? अगर आप स्विफ्ट और निम्बल रहेंगे, इसका मतलब है कि आप चेंज करेंगे अपने आप को. जब आप चेंज करेंगे तो स्क्रैच अप से नहीं बना सकते कोई चीज. It's very difficult. You don't have the time, cost of learning. I'm sorry, you just won't have it. The world is moving so fast. Think of the ways that you can collaborate. So collaborating in Bharat by keeping the focus on the user is a win-win situation. And I wish you all the best for the next 40 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Manish. Quite an eye-opener, brain opener session and sleep opener in the beginning. So now I think we have discussed a lot of insights and learnings from a very esteemed panel here from different functions. Now I would like to ask everyone, whenever we create solutions for Bharat, we have the product in place, we have every learning, etc. in place. I think communication to the Bharat is the important task. So what goes in that communication, in that narrative? Can we learn from you? What are the do's and don'ts in that communication? What should we vary of? What should we focus on when we are delivering that product in communication to that right consumer, to the consumer? So yeah, actually, that's the cordless mics. What are one? Okay. We can start with you, like when you had the concept, soundbox. Uska communication, offline, online, how is the team handling it? And that soundbox is a very interesting product, right? There are, like you rightly pointed out, there are two modes of communication that are needed. One is offline, the other is online. So now, of course, when you're communicating online, you have to be wary of the fact that where are your consumers sitting? While Soundbox is a very fancy product for the consumers as well as the merchants, but who are you trying to sell? I mean, I'm talking from a business perspective. If I go to LinkedIn and make noise about it, probably I would get some eyeballs just for the industry, but not from the merchants. My merchants consume YouTube, they consume Facebook, they like these platforms, right? They consume YouTube influencers, right? The content that they produce. So we had to be, of course, present there. We had to, of course, see different kinds of content pieces. For example, there's something like an unboxing of Soundbox, or like how to videos, how does a Soundbox work, and so on and so forth. So this is like the online tech. Of course, offline was slightly more personal because anybody who's, all the feet on street executives, when they go to the ground, to the merchants, and they're trying to sell, all they have to tell the merchant is that आपका transaction होगा ना तो आपको notification आ जाएगा.
you don't have to actually make too much of an effort in checking with all the workers working in your shop कि उसका payment आया क्या, उसका payment आया क्या. You know? All that you need to do is just keep your sound box next to you and you'll get a payment notification. And that was very powerful. The reason for that, of course, like you know, I mean, it's the festive rush. So everybody understands, right? That there's just too many consumers at the shop, and it's very difficult for the merchant to keep track. So I think it's very essential to know your product. It's essential to know your consumers and to know which channel are they going to consume and why would they consume your product. Is it even useful for them? If it is, then why?
The narrative is like, you know, how it is solving or making your life easy.
Exactly.
So the narrative has to be very, very sharp and, you know, cut down to that so that they immediately have a, you know, aha moment, that word or moment of truth for them. Because वो full concept होता है. I think push marketing is, I think, over. I will say, I think whenever they feel कि yeah, this is the right one for me, I will make that choice. Then it makes retailers.
And you have to be very basic about it.
Yeah,
you can't go around in fancy jargons and explain the concept. You just have to say, आपका ये problem है, ये हम solve कर रहे हैं, ये आपको इससे फायदा होगा. That's your way.
So I'll build on what was said here. So I'll cover it in two parts. One is from the product, and the other is exactly the question which was on the communications. So one example which I remember, I think so it was 2016 or 17 when the complete democratization of this LCD screens were happening. 2-3 years before the democratization of smartphones has happened. And if you remember this company View, I don't know if any one of you have seen any ad from View. I don't think so they do any national marketing, but right now if you see 2-3 years before they were the biggest TV seller, at least on Flipkart and Amazon put together. Why did that happen? Because the product at that time I think so Samsung and LGs were selling LCD screens for 50K and above, 40-inch screen, right? So what did View did? They came in, they disrupted the market by offering the same technology. Now, obviously, it was imported from low-cost manufacturing hub in China, but that's the need gap which the product was able to solve. So I think so if your product is able to solve the need gap by disrupting a market or identifying the gap which didn't exist before, it will sell on its own. The second part, which is on communications, I would agree. It has to be really simple. Because if you see in today's world, there's so much of content already out there. There's so much of cognitive load which is there in everybody's mind. Nobody wants to stay back and hear you out. So I think so communications has to be simple as well as entertaining. Because usually, and this is also I've learned from the research, that ads are being taken as entertaining. If you're entertaining, people will hear you out and मजाक में अपनी बात भी पहुंच जाएगी. So, yeah.
Ads are very passive. Like you see an ad, you don't make the decision, but वो कभी दिमाग में रहता है. कभी किराने की शॉप पे आपको दिखेगा, हाँ, इसका ad देखा था, तो it just builds on that. So I think I agree. And for Meesho, I have this like the content strategy because I have been seeing a lot of Myntra versus Meesho guys. So I think was this on purpose? I think. Can you build on you know what are you actually trying to communicate? What are the two key content pegs that is in your influencer strategy?
So if I have to talk about Myntra versus Meesho, I think so mostly both of them are fashion first. In fact, Myntra is a vertical fashion player and Meesho is now a horizontal e-commerce platform, but still majority of the business comes from fashion. So I think so when it comes to content strategy, Myntra talks fashion first, right? Somewhere it is aspiration, but also intimidating for users. If you see Meesho, what we talk fashion is very mass fashion. It's like everybody can own it, and we bring in a lot of Indian narrative and family narrative first, because majority of our customers are women, and in a way it is strength for us because if you see the skew of male versus female, other e-commerce platform is male heavy. So women become a inroad to the family for us. So our communication is primarily either in a family setting or it would be festive or Indian narrative. So that's how we build it. When it comes to influencers, I think so. It was first thing which we tried was when it comes to YouTube, and as you said, right, everybody is searching on YouTube. Then idea was how do we own this, and hence we came up with this complete strategy of niche halls. But the idea is who's going to do that? Are we going to create certain influencers and models who's going to do that? But because it was going to be alienated. So a lot of our entrepreneurs or resellers, as we say, we promoted them if they can start creating this content on their own, which is again relatable because if you see someone like you on screen wearing those clothes talking about it, then it becomes more relatable and more trustworthy.
Will not look like an ad. Yeah. So Manish, I wanted to ask you when you were saying, egg boiler में आप, you were the second or the third player after,
No, we were the X player.
X player. Okay. But what did you do different in terms of, launching it and growing it, reviews rating, like what was your strategy?
So we did actually, before we hit that product on the Amazon and the Flipkart thing, we started to work on that. The listings were very powerful that we created. We didn't take a look from Amazon.in, we took a look from Amazon.com. So Amazon.com पे थोड़ा listing का quality अच्छा था for the similar kind of product. So that was really very good that we took Amazon.in पे जो competitors थे इतने बढ़िया listings नहीं थी उनकी. Second, we kind of did a mafia offer as in that in case it doesn't work, it will be like replaced, no questions asked. So no replacement, no warranty. Warranty was like आप एक साल के अंदर कर लीजिए, it will be replacement. And the third was that we started handing it out to many people already to build on the reviews, saying that why don't you review this product. And अगर आप उसको बहुत ध्यान से देखेंगे उस product को, it is the product that sells same model across the players. It's like a commodity product क्योंकि चाइना की एक दो फैक्ट्री में से ही बन रहा है. So we couldn't have done much on that. So some Indian factories are trying, but उसमें इतना वो नहीं है. So it was very hard to do that, but we did actually, did that. So we were able to clean up the entire container in about 90 days or so.
So I think what you're saying is A+ native text, वो सब आपने best practice से you okay, and reviews ratings you also enable.
Yes.
And okay, what about pricing? Anything on pricing?
Yeah, so pricing, yes, we did start slow, but within 3 months, we were nearly what 10 was off. But we didn't lose any money. So this is one thing I think I missed. So Indian manufacturers, they are very, very sharp. The entire thing changes. वो per unit cost देखते हैं कि profit कितना आ रहा है. They don't chase revenues as leading corporates do, or many corporates do. They would chase की per unit profitability कितनी अगर वो नहीं है तो कोई काम नहीं करेगा. So we have been in retail business. Retail is like जैसे टीवी रेट होती है हाथ में बीच की, वो फिसलनी शुरू हो जाती है, खत्म हो जाती है, उसी खाली हो जाती है. So retail is like that. So you have to be very, very conscious of what the per unit economics is. Very, very sharp on that.
I think the cost factor is here is the search पे पैसा and display पे पैसा. So what was your?
Yeah, so overall, I tell you, we are the best in the industry. What we have found out till now. So about 35% of our sales is inorganic, 65% is organic. And so getting that 35%, we spend about 6.5% roughly. And so total the cost to cross advertising cost to cross sales is roughly around 2.5%.
That's actually a good investment.
Yeah. So this over the last 4 years, we have got it down from 50% to 2.5%.
Okay, that's a good one. For anyone, like even I'll say many brands want to disrupt a market or disrupt a category. What are the key learnings? That's why I think I asked you personal questions in that.
So I would never look to disrupt. So what I do is that I say that when I look at the products, I see who's the category leader, and basis the reviews, we have some kind of a back of the envelope calculations. We know that how much they are selling per month, and we target to sell 10% of that in the 6 month onwards.
So our aspirations are not very high, but we are able to do that.
The idea is to make money, like profitably and
All good.
got it, got it. Sir, I wanted to ask you actually that if you see digital payments, if you see e-commerce, in all these, you will say, I'll say verticals, just for the ease of saying, trust is a very important barrier. Like people don't trust e-commerce. Even my consumer research also said, even digital payments, even somebody wants to open a bank account, they don't. For MSME also, I think you also must have been seeing trust issues across this consumer base. And I know it's not Bharat, but it is a significant chunk of Bharat. So what do you think, sir, that can actually, ease them into, avoid that barrier of trust and ease into adoption? What do you think that can actually help them earn the trust?
See, the again, we are value buyers, right? We start with the distrust. We are one of the best bargainers in the world, right? That is our prima facie start, right? We start with distrust or mistrust, and if the experience falters for whatever reason, you lost it, right? You can change the DM. The start of a distrust in a relationship, you can't change that. But I think focus on the experience, right? If we focus on the experience so that the trust maintains, that's one aspect. I'll give you an example, right? So maybe we want to tell. So we went out, and this is yesterday, less than 24 hours. So we went to a barbecue joint. We wanted to go there. And this guy was coming back and again to me said, Sara theek hai, sabhi theek hai, ye hai, wo hai. And I was telling my son that we take care of that. That's the basic distrust, right? And of course I stood up when we were leaving. I left a handsome tip. I did that. And the server was not to be found. The guy was like dancing around us, was not to be found. So I waited for it. Somebody else gave the bill, did the credit card transaction. I checked that it was service tax thing. And I got for that. I said, Abdul. So Abdullah, I said, yeah, okay. This is next one. Tipka policy range. This is absolute barbecue. Tipka policy range. Now, this entire episode, right? And then this is a kal phone aayega, mera ready hai, kar dijiyega, mujhe wait. Frankly speaking, I haven't experienced this ever. Right? Now, I started with distrust. I was telling this to my son, from there, me talking at this platform about them. And of course, they send me a SMS, I'm able to respond to that, I read that, all that will happen. So we start with distrust, but the only way to manage is how you manage the experience. Now, when you have to manage the experience, you need to, and this is your first point of when you set a value place, is insight. Do you know your consumers enough to build and control that experience, right? So I think that's all I would say. You can counter this trust and distrust aspect. Once it is built up, you can definitely keep doing it, right? But I think it's the experience that you really need to manage it well. If you do that, you have a winner at hand.
Yeah, I think that is pertinent. People actually don't, share experience, but लोग actually वो करते ही नहीं हैं. I'm just saying they have a barrier to also experience. So what about that?
So we don't think of the experience part. And that is where we marketers have an edge. We can control and we can help our organizations, departments, teams define that, right? I come from industry we are very high on recruitment side, right? I say that in no industry, raw material has a choice of the brand it will serve. In my industry, from in ITS, the raw material has a choice. Iron ore or a plastic pellet doesn't decide whether it will become a Serica steel or Jindal steel, right? Or a plastic pellet, whether it will become a bottle or a shrink wrap. Doesn't know. But my IT engineer decides मैं विप्रो के लिए काम नहीं करूँगा, मैं NPT के लिए करूँगा, मैं NCT के लिए काम नहीं करूँगा, मैं XYZ के लिए करूँगा. Yatarungi, right? In our industry, the recruitment experience is broken. Bad. And that's my consistent struggle, right? So our ability on the experience, and that is another point I would want to say on the solutions for Bharat. You know, what is our biggest inhibitor that will happen is our ability to extract premium on the brand. Our inability to extract premium on the brand will pull Bharat down when it comes to competing geographies. Now let's talk about the product experience. It's a joy to open an Apple, any Apple box. I get a lot of my Apple gadgets from US. My biggest request is get the bus up. People saying you can we bring it without the bus and bring it about? Right? It's a joy. I mean, if you walk into Apple store, the experience that you get is phenomenal. So the brands that focus on experience, it is not necessarily hospitality. Even a product brand can focus on experience. The brands that focus on experience are able to charge premium. Good part about experience is it is intangible. I can charge as much premium as I want. On tangibility, you know, there is a limit. On intangibility, there is no limit. So I can charge premium. And to Venkatesh's Vishwajit's point is storytelling, right? If you want to control the experience, define the experience, you have to be extremely good at storytelling. We Indians lack at that. We immensely lack at storytelling. Even that we had Manchtantra, we started with storytelling. You know, all our ethics value, all our values, everything is stored in stories. We are bad. We are bad. I mean, हम अपने बच्चों को बोलते हैं कि कहानी मत सुना. रमेश, अरे कहानी सुना तो खानदान को, देश को आगे लेके जाएगा. Right? So maybe and through storytelling also trust can be built, but that's another topic for another day.
Especially anything on niche show that we are going to, counter this barrier on trust in terms of, I know COD, etc. is an enabler, but other than trust issues on delivery quality. For example, I'm just giving an example of quality. How do you manage that in the consumer?
Actually, very interesting question because if you see global e-commerce, a lot of inventory is owned by platform and hence they're able to maintain a lot of quality. First gen e-commerce company also head categories are all owned by them. So quality can be controlled. Whereas Meesho as a company is a pure play marketplace and all our delivery, everything is, as you say, collaboration all third 3 years. So we don't own any inventory. And at the same time, the vision is to help the smallest seller to come and sell on board. In that case, how do you control quality? There are aims which are getting at loggerhead with each other. So, in fact, the new challenge for this year for the company is how do you make sure that in a marketplace where you don't want to put a lot of checks and balances and still maintain quality. I would say there are few bad apples which leads to larger negative word of mouth, right? I think so. No businessman would want to do a business on a platform and want to sell bad products because a true businessman will want to do business and not cheat. So I think it's more about education and enabling the sellers on marketplace that if you are able to maintain the quality of your product, you would be able to reach more businesses. What I was being told that most of the seller apps do not have NPS visibility to the sellers. Where the sellers do not know, they might have ratings and everything that this is the rating you are able to achieve out of 5, but they don't get the NPS visibility. So one of the initiative is that how do we, train these smaller sellers as well as give them the visibility and the impact of word of mouth and NPS, which if goes bad, how it is going to be detrimental for their larger business. So that's the aim, and in fact, it is one of the company's key goals for this year to make sure that quality becomes one of the key flywheel in the complete growth cycle before we hit that.
What about the essential information that the sellers put to you guys also generate like a playbook and tell them that this is the best practice of content that you should put on your website. कितना material है, कुछ real images डालो. not photoshopping, etc.
Yeah. So again, so everything comes at a cost, and the company's very sharp focus is to give that value to the end customer. So while all the cataloging and a lot of rich information on the landing platform can be done, all of it will come at a cost. Either the seller has to take it or the company has to take it. So, but there will be a mid path that how do you use technology to weed out the bad images and the images which are misleading, so that the seller gets to know and then he on his own gets the right images. But as a company, we are never going to invest the way first year companies have invested to create a controlled merchandising or a controlled rich information what they are doing, because it comes with a lot of cost, and our focus also is to be profitable. And I think so from a unit economics point, as Manish was saying, Misho is the most, like it has the best health in terms of unit economics. So I think so democratizing these things and enabling the sellers is going to be the right way without incurring a lot of cost at that scale.
So I would like to ask audience if you have the questions for the panel and we will wrap the session. Anyone?
Yes. Do you need the mic?
Okay. So my question was actually for Vishnu, sir. So you mentioned that Bharat focuses a lot on aspirational imagery. At the same time, with influencer marketing, you're also trying to make the content relatable. So how do you really strike a balance in your content strategy between relatability and the aspirational content that you're trying to serve?
Okay, so one of the initiatives which actually my social media team took was there are a few formats, right? What you found and what you get. And there's a format a lot of brands do, a lot of companies do, depending on what the brand is, where the brand is, they choose a particular imagery and model. We were very clear that we are not going to go with a big influencer or a mega influencer who have the money to have a screen presence and look really fab, while it will create a lot of aspiration, but it will also somewhere alienate. So we focus primarily on micro and nano influencers. See, all these influencers are looking for an opportunity of fame. So they will make sure that they put their best foot forward with a bit of guidance. But micro and nano influencers, if you work with, and these really guys, these micro and nano influencers really work in the pockets of a city, where there will be followers from only one city or followers from one state. So we just work with them so the relatability comes on its own, and our guidance just able to help them to create that kind of aspiration. Yeah.
Anyone else? This side. Yeah.
Okay.
You spoke about MSME. So just wanted to know as to what can be the policy interventions that can be done by government so that the role of MSMEs in the current GDP rate can be enhanced so that we can tackle some of the difficulties faced by MSMEs.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Very interestingly, you would be very surprised to know that there are already a lot of initiatives that the government has taken. So, for example, I just mentioned three of them. So, like employment scheme was one, credit loan was another, and subsidy on loans was, for example, the third. If you go on to the msme.gov.in, you will see that there are a lot of policy interventions which the government is doing already. So, for example, even the presence of these MSMEs in trade fairs and exhibitions is one of the major interventions that government is actually undertaking. Because to give them a platform to showcase their products, right, and giving them a marketing platform in itself shows how the vision of the government is shaping up to support the sector.
I'll add an anecdotal stuff, right? I lead marketing, and we have a lot of vendors whose invoices have to clear. So within the checklist, there is an entry, is the vendor MSME? Because if the vendor is, then we have to clear their invoice in a particular, I think, 30 days or 60 days. We can't exceed that. So this is a result of, and I've been helping vendors since, I don't know, since like, right? Payment delays is a norm. 60 days बोल के 90 120 में मिल जाएगा तो चलेगा. That is the on ground reality. But I'm giving you a very specific anecdote, and this could not have happened because of without this policy intervention. So it's already there, a good chunk of that.
We have one last question.
My question is to Manish sir. We talked about how India is going to look like, what are the industries we should focus on, where do we have opportunities. So since you've worked in this domain for so long, I wanted to know what are the few things or a few traits, something that you really look forward to that new age marketers should have, something that we from here can work on. They could be like keywords, if you can give us something so that we know that you spoke about it.
Okay, so this is a little bhari question for me, seriously. The traits of a marketer. I think you have to be fast, quick, communicate very crisply and precisely. I remember one ad, selfie wala camera, selfie wala phone by I think Xiaomi ka ad. So that was one feature communicated very, very well, wherein you could take a selfie with a flash, that kind of a thing. I think I will not be able to do justice to this question because there are better panelists that can handle this. Because to me, what has come to me the most is through experience, and I have never done a causal analysis ever. I move with the flow because I don't have the bandwidth to see as to why this thing went wrong. If it went wrong, I change the course. I have never been in love with the thought that I have carried or the process that I have built. So I've been, kind of building them again and again if it doesn't work. So this thing has kept me very, very on the foot always. Even if not living on the edge when you're taking too much space. So that has been my philosophy. Other than that, I think somebody else would like to pitch in here.
So I think one word, curiosity. Because if that remains, you will go beyond observations and figure out insights. And then I think work with those. So curiosity is the thing. We start being very curious when we start our careers over a period of time. It becomes little lethargic. And I have been guilty of that part where I assume a lot of things when it comes to e-commerce. And like my eyes opened when I joined this company because here we were truly building a Bharat and a lot of assumptions came out to the
I'll tell you what I look for my team members, right? One, clarity of thought. That is very important in the work. Decisions can never be right. There are campaigns which take off, there are projects which take off, and there are campaigns which bomb. And the projects which bomb, the ones that bomb are greater than the ones that are a success. But you should be clear. So clear-headed thought process is, and that's what I'm actually looking for when I'm maybe that was.
Thanks everyone for this. This actually was a very insightful session for me also. So thanks for sharing your learnings, your personal examples, and what I think everyone has a few takeaways from this session in terms of what, because you guys will be actually instrumental in making this happen in the coming years. So I think that's something. And thank you for organizing this. I really like the topic, and I think you also want to say thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, esteemed panelists. We're proud to unveil the 2022 edition of the annual magazine of Brand Wagon, which is called Margdarshan. In this year's issue, we talk about what is the Bharat consumer and bring in a 360-degree perspective to the theme. Right from the use of data strategy and indulge into purposeful storytelling to actually creating a personalized, seamless experience using innovative marketing techniques. We would now like to unveil the magazine officially and like to present each of our guests with a copy of Margdarshan and request them to launch the
you all. We have now come to the end of the National Marketing Summit of TradeWinds 2022. We would like to thank our distinguished guests for their deep insights into our themes. Deepika ma'am, thank you so much for seamlessly moderating the session and giving multiple industry examples and multiple brand examples like Mondelez ad campaigns, your experience about rural marketing, talking about the 3 Bs of the YouTube, the content which is consumed by the new rural consumer, and how their perception of online shopping is. All of these insights will be taken very well by the audience. Vishwajit sir, thank you so much for defining the parameters that actually define the Bharat consumer. Value over convenience, regional language preferences, and the impact of storytelling. Your take based on the work with the brain and not against it. The aspiration of Bharat consumer was truly a wonderful learning experience for us, and we thank you for it. Satinder sir, your views on the topic like UPI, how the chasm between urban and rural consumers is decreasing, and some very relatable references from TV shows and key aspiration categories, and especially the take on how 5G is going to shape the consumer behavior in the upcoming years has been a truly insightful thing to look forward to. Priyanka ma'am, your entire speech about MSMEs and liberating the women of rural India. You talk about Project Shakti by Unilever and the various initiatives by Indian government to facilitate the growth of MSMEs and creating an entrepreneurial mindset is truly engaging. Thank you so much for that. Manish sir, your thought and encouraging views about entrepreneurship was very interesting. Your lessons were very current and relatable to the audience, and especially something you spoke about, identifying market potential, identifying the right customer need, and taking real life business examples to actually make the audience understand how it's applied. All of these things are, extremely important because we are in the B school and we will be taking this forward and we'll be able to use these learnings to actually create the new, marketing strategies for the new consumer of Bharat. Thank you so much. And we would now like to present each of you with a token of gratitude and appreciation from IIFT. So we would now like to escort our guests for refreshments to Sanjeev.